So hi everyone, very good to have you all here. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed the food, enjoying the conversation. And let me ask you, we're going to talk now about, becoming a better Java developer, right? Or a better developer in general. And a lot of people ask me, a lot of people tell me, let me see about you guys. A lot of people say that, they feel overwhelmed, right? There's too many things to learn. There's not enough time to learn everything and to keep up with things. Who here feels like this? There's too many things and you can't keep up, right? Okay, so a lot of people feel like they can't keep up. And a lot of it's and when we feel overwhelmed, a lot of it has to do with learning too many things, right? So you just come here, Otavio is talking about, actually I'm going to use this in a minute, but Otavio is talking about the NoSQL thing and cloud and all those things, and we want to use this in our project, right? And a lot of times we don't have the time, we don't have, the company doesn't want to do it and everything. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we can actually use those things and how we can actually move forward and don't stop feeling overwhelmed, right? Because that's a really important thing. But before I start this, I just want to make sure that I'll address the things that you guys want to talk about, right? So when you think about learning and becoming a better developer or improving your career anyway, getting a better job or anything like this, what is the biggest question that you have, right? What's the thing that bothers you? Now, you came here so I wanted you to think about this in a minute so you can ask the question, but I just want to see what the situation of you guys here, right? So who here is just starting, right? Has less than 1, 2, or 3, less than 3 years in the career? Anyone here? No. All right, okay, one person. All right, okay. So who here is like let's say a middle ground kind of thing? You have between 3 and 10 years in your career. Okay, a bunch of people, good. And so who here has more than 10 years in your career? Okay, more than 10. So from those that have more than 10, who has more than 15? All right, more than 20? Okay, good. Let's stop right there, right? Okay, all right. Just to have an idea. So we have people from all different situations. So now, should I pass the microphone, or can you pass the microphone? So I'm going to start. What is the biggest question that you have? The biggest difficulty, the biggest question, the biggest frustration you have in your career right now, or your biggest dream you don't know how to achieve? Does anyone want to start? Come on, I'm going to spend a couple minutes asking questions here first. Everyone's okay? Your career is great? You want the money? Oh, there's one person right there. All right.
When selecting, you're becoming as a developer, like, what drew you to Java out of all the other ones? Like, what? That specific...
No, I want to hear about you. I can tell you my story. But,
so
yes.
My question is, when you're stepping into this world,
right,
of like, how do you...
how to choose
what's
technology?
The best way to choose the language? And we know the markets, things change, things evolve. Software continues to evolve. So
okay, so the best way to choose the next technology okay, is that good? Okay. Oops. Who else?
So related to what you were saying about so many things to learn, my question is, how do you get deep enough on anything that you learn? Because today it seems like there is tutorials for anything and everything is to-do app or hello world.
Cool, excellent. All right, so who else? Here.
So when I learn about a new technology, I always feel like there's a trade-off. You're always gaining something, but you're also losing something. Mm-hmm. Every time I hear about something, I always hear about the plus sides. Mm-hmm. I never hear about what are the things you're trading off. What are you losing by doing this technology?
Okay.
I want to know more real-world experiences, the problems people have had, not just the things that they've solved.
Okay, I'm just have a hard time to find the question there. Mm-hmm. I understand the problem, but
I guess the question is, what are real-world experiences of problems, not only solutions?
Okay, so how do I learn about those? Because you know, I understand you're not going to get the vendor coming here and talking about it. I think that's bad for the
Yeah,
vendors.
no, how do
not do this,
I figure out what problems other people have had
That's a good question.
with solution X?
Okay, all right. Perfect, excellent. If I just learn how to type, right? Who else? If I just answer those questions, are you guys happy? Everyone is happy? Your career is going to be great if I just answer those questions? That's all I need to do? That's easy, come on. We're happy with the pizza. All right, so I want to be happier then, right? One more question.
How do you spend less time maintaining and more time creating new things?
Oh, okay. Last time maintaining. More time creating. Okay. Cool. What else?
So we talked about the next technology, getting deep into stuff, but how do you determine when is the time to abandon something and move on?
Okay.
Because generally you have a lot of code, you have a lot of commitment, and it's very hard to let anything go.
Okay. Cool. Right. Oh man, he has issues in his career. How about that, right?
Many questions. How do you choose to balance between front end, back end, middle tier? So basically, do you aim for the full stack versus some specialization, and maybe at different times of your career?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people have questions about specialization, right? What else? Is it okay? Good enough? You all happy here with these? One more. Oh man, I'm gonna.
How do you get to travel internationally and do this?
That's gonna be the Andres questions, right? It's not gonna be the. Okay.
Yeah, this is the Andres question. How do you get to travel and do this internationally?
Okay.
As a developer, not as a businessman.
Right. All right. Okay. Is that good enough? I filled a whole screen here. Maybe you can do 10. Oh, there's not. It's not the number anyway. Okay, good. Is that good? Is that good? Everyone happy? Okay, so I'm not going to start by answering those questions immediately. I'm going to try to answer them while I talk about how you learn, and then if I miss something, I'm going to come back and answer all of them. Okay? So. All right, so, all of those questions here you can see, right? How to choose next new technology, how to go deep, figure out problems, because if you figure out problems, we're able to solve them, so that's a great thing, right? So figure out problems, all of those things are related to us, becoming better, right? Becoming, having a better, because we didn't talk about your goals here, right? But, it's all related to you becoming better, right? So you become, more successful, to have more results. So that's what we're going to talk about here, right? We're going to talk about, really how, this whole point here, how to be a better Java developer, learn fast, get more results. And I'm going to say here, it's all about the skills. So I want to break down this phrase right here so we can understand what those things actually mean, right? So first of all, oh man, sorry about this. I think I was, okay, right. Okay, so first of all, there's the whole thing about learning, right? You all said that you are, that you feel overwhelmed. There's too many things to learn, too many things to do. And one of the things, and we developers, we are, how do I say this? Passionate about learning, or maybe addicted for learning, right? I mean, learning for us is like a big thing that we all want to do all the time. And so, one example we all want to learn more things. We all feel overwhelmed with things, but at the same time, although we're addicted to learning, we also understand a little bit that learning is not the objective, right? Let me ask you one question here. Who here has ever bought a course, an online course, that you did not watch? All right, a few people, right? So who here has bought a book that you did not read? All right, Everyone. So no. So at the same time, we're addicted to learn. We buy things. We buy courses. We come to places. We try to learn things. How many of you guys have learned something that you did not use? Right. So so for us, learning is the objective, right? We learn even if we don't use later. But at the same time, we buy things. We spend the money, but we don't actually use it. We don't even read the book or do this training, right? So at the same time, we understand a little bit that learning is not that important because we buy the course and don't take it. So learning is not that important, right? And another thing that we kind of understand is that, when you're looking for a job or you're trying to hire someone, what is the word that we use to describe the person that we want more? Is it someone that learned a lot? Is it? I'm looking for someone that learned a lot for my job. Is that what you put on your resume? Everything you learned? Right? What do you put in your resume? Things that you've done. Your experience, right? So we put in the resume and we search for people that have experience. So we kind of understand that learning is not we're addicted to it, but we also understand that that's not the most important thing. We understand that experience is the more important thing. So actually, there's a big difference between when you talk about learning, a lot of the learning is knowledge, right? And the problem with knowledge is that knowledge is a bunch of disconnected memories in your brain. And as a developer, I'm going to talk a lot about the brain here, because as a developer, it is important that we understand how the brain works. We're going to talk about soccer later on, right? That's what we agree on, right? We're going to discuss soccer later on, right? And can you really be a good soccer player if you don't understand a little bit about muscles? Right? Because if you don't understand anything about muscles, you're going to say, well, I want to be very fast, right? So I'm just going to start running. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to run 200 kilometers, so I'm going to be very fast, right? But if you understand anything about muscles, you know that that's not how it works. You can't just go to a gym and spend like 20 hours making exercise just because, I don't have the time. So I'm just going to go once a month, and I'm going to do 10 hours once a month in the gym, right? That could be very reasonable if you know nothing about muscles. But if you know a little bit about muscles, you know that that's not how it works. And so you can't be a good sport person if you don't understand a little bit about muscles. But for us, our muscles are the brain, right? So we can't be a good developer if you don't understand a little bit about the brain. And that has a lot to do with learning and knowledge. And knowledge is about a lot of unconnected memories in our brain. They are hard to access. They're slow to access. And because they're disconnected, when you access one of it, you don't access the other ones, right? So that's why you read a book, and if you don't do anything with it, then you forget about it, right? So how many of you here had to read a book? You bought a book, you actually read it, but you did not use it immediately, and then maybe a few months later or 6 months later, a few years later, you actually needed that thing and you had to reread the book, right? That's because that's knowledge. Knowledge is very hard for us to access. Now, the other side of it is skills. Skills are a bunch of connected memories in our brain. Skills are, things that we do, and we do very well. And skills are fast. We access these skills very fast, without even thinking many times. For example, a very simple skill. You try to put a password on a cell phone, and you don't know your password. And then you go on your computer and you just type your password in the computer, because then now you can remember, because you know how to type your password. You just don't know what it is. That's a skill, right? Something you've done so many times that your brain knows how to access that, even if you don't, right? So if you're playing basketball, for example, knowledge is the knowledge that you have to, you're kicking the ball, you're running, and you have to throw it. Knowledge is the knowledge that you know that you have to push the ball with a certain speed. You have to calculate the speed you're running. You have to know the distance from the I don't know how you call the whatever, the hoop, right? You have to know the distance of the hoop. You have to know, that's the knowledge, right? We actually put this knowledge in a robot, and there are robots that throw the ball and never miss it. That's knowledge, right? But as a skill, you just do it. You know nothing about the math. You know nothing about parables, right? But you just do it. But let me tell you what, your brain cannot hit the hoop if you don't know all of this, right? You know, if you don't know about speed, if you don't know about distance, if you don't know about parabolas, your brain, you can't hit the hoop. It's not magic. The ball's not going to magic come out of your hand and get there. The ball has to do all of these. But you don't need to know all of that. You just know how to do it. That's a skill, right? So skills are what matter. It's not about learning. That's why we feel overwhelmed. It's not about learning. It's about what you do. Because what you do, you access fast. Skills are very fast. Skills are connected memories, right? So it's easy for the brain to get. Skills, when you access one memory, the whole thing comes up. It's not a different thing. Oh, you know, running is one thing, and throwing the ball is another thing, and then, you know, parabola is another thing. No, it's all one thing for your brain. So the thing that really matters are the skills. And so if what really matters are the skills, and let me tell you, skills, we only get skills if we do it. Let me repeat this. We only get skills if we do it. There's no, oh, I'm going to read a book about basketball, I'm going to be a good basketball player. Skills, you have to do it. So if skills is the only important thing, we got to understand a little bit about skills. So let me tell you a little bit about the biology of skills. Because if we don't understand the biology of it, we kind of think we can fake it or we can trick it. But it's biology, man. We can't do anything else. That's how it works. So how does skills work? I can tell you that skills are myelin. Who here has ever heard of myelin? Okay, so myelin, by the way, let me tell you one thing. The science of the brain and the science of learning and skills have completely changed in the last 10 to 15 years. So whatever you knew how to learn in the past is different now because we know more about the brain. So people that are more than 10 years in their career, you know, if you're still learning the same way you learned it when you start your career, you're definitely doing it wrong, right? And it's not your fault. It's just because the science has just came out, right? So let's understand a little bit about this. So skills are myelin. A long time ago, people thought that myelin was something that was in the brain. We didn't know what it was used for. Now we know, right? So you all know about neurons, right? Neurons are that cell that's full, your brain's full of them. And so, you know, you have the nucleus and you have the dendrites that connect to all the neurons, and you have this long piece of it that's the axion, right? You've heard of that, right? You all with me here? And I don't want to go very deep in biology, but you're all here with me here, right? Okay, so myelin is the insulation, right, that goes around the long axion. So that's what all it was. It's insulation, right? You put myelin on the neuron and it get insulated. So what that's for? That's the skills. You know, a lot of people, a long time ago, because myelin doesn't do anything. So that's people say, well, that's not necessary. But now we know what happens when a neuron is activated. So what means a neuron is activated? There's a little bit of electricity goes through it. When a neuron is activated, there's some other cells in your brain that they will wrap that neuron with myelin. So the neuron is activated, wrap with myelin. It's activated again, wraps more myelin. Activate again, wraps with more myelin, right? So what's that for? It's insulation. What happens is, if the difference is a neuron that has lots of wraps of myelin it's faster than a neuron with little myelin. How much faster? It gets 100 times faster. A neuron that has lots of reps of myelin can be 100 times faster than one that doesn't. Not only faster because the electricity passes faster, but also it can activate more times. A neuron because the neuron needs to recover to activate again. A neuron wrapped in myelin can activate it 30 times faster than a neuron without myelin. So it's 100 times faster to run for the electricity to go through, and it can activate a 30 times faster. So think about this. Think about someone that can do anything, skateboarding, software development, anything, 100 times faster than you. That's magic, right? It's magic, and we call it magic. You guys here have a great basketball player that you call him Magic Johnson, right? We call it magic. A person that can do something 100 times better than others, it's magic. That's a skill. A skill is being able to do 100 times better. Not really better, but faster. Your neurons work faster. I'm sure you work with some people that they're very fast. I work with Otavio, right? When I talk anything about coding, Otavio has hundreds of myelin layers more than I do in coding, right? So when I talk with Otavio, he thinks like immediately. I'm still thinking about what is that the person said, and Otavio's giving the answer. For me, it's like, whoa, it's magic, right? And so this is skills. That's why we say the skills are connected memories in your brain. Because when you put lots of wraps of myelin around your neurons get so fast that you have the answer way before you think. Remember, skills, you don't need to think to apply the skills, right? So your brain's very, very fast. Now that we understand how the thing works, we have also to understand the limitation of this process, right? So first limitation is myelin is only applied when the neuron is activated. If the neuron is activated, myelin is applied. If it's not activated, there's no myelin. So when you read a book, which neurons do you activate when you read a book? The neurons that help you understand the book? The neurons that help you understand the words and the meanings? Or the neurons that you need to do the skill? When you read a book, all you're doing is you're getting activated the neurons to read, not the neurons to do it, not the neurons to solve the problem. So that's why learning, knowledge by itself, don't make you a better developer. You have to apply things. You always have to apply things, right? So when you talk about myelin, that's it. Every time you do something, more myelin covers your neuron. So you have to do it. You have to activate the neurons. That's why you can't just read a book about typing and become a better typist. You have to type it. That's why you can't learn a book about software development and become a better developer. You have to develop software. That's why you can't come here and do a presentation and say, how do I become a better presenter? Oh, I'm just going to practice in front of a mirror. No, you have to come here and speak. Because that's the only way that your neuron is going to be activated. Make sense? So the other limitation of this, it's not instantaneous, right? It's a biological process. It takes time. You do something, it starts the process of putting myelin around it. And it takes time. And what happens if you stop doing it? Then it stops the process. If the neuron is not activated anymore, then it stops putting myelin in it. Right? That's why when you stop doing things, you lose it. Same thing of muscles. You stop doing exercise, a month later you have no muscles anymore. So you have to keep always doing and doing and doing. Right? And more than that, you have to do the same things. Right? So this whole thing is not about being faster. It's about doing what needs to get your myelin going. Make sense? All right, so then we talk about developer. So what are the skills that we need to be a better developer? Because it's not about, you get a soccer player, for example, and he's going to start practicing. He doesn't get on the field and start doing backflips, right? He gets on the field and does what? The basics, right? Because remember, you have to activate the neurons for myelin to happen. So if you don't activate the basic neurons, nothing else happens, right? So a soccer player comes on the field and what he practices? Passing the ball. Michael Phelps, every single day, Michael Phelps practices swimming. Not only on the pool, but on his bed. Before he goes to sleep, he lays down, closes his eyes, and he practices on his mind the perfect strike, the perfect flip. He sees on his mind, he doing the perfect flip. Because every movement starts in the brain. So he practices, he activates the neurons by practicing laying down. So we got to do this all the time. So what are the 5 basic skills that we need to become great developers? First of all, read codes. It's amazing how many developers, especially experienced ones, that don't read code every day, right? Oh, but I read code every day, but I read code for my project. Doesn't count. The other thing about Myelin is that you have to do stronger than you did yesterday. You see, it's like a muscle, right? Can I just get here for a second? You get like a muscle. You go to the gym and you say, I'm going to lift this 1 kilo thing here, right? Or 1 pound, whatever, right? And I'm going to lift it, and I'm going to do 10 times, and it's going to be kind of hard in the beginning, right? And so I'm going to do for 1 week, lifting 1 pound, right? And then the second week, I'm just going to do 10 times lifting 1 pound again. And the third week, I'm just going to lift 1 pound for 10 times again. And for the whole first year, I'm going to do 10 times 1 pound. What's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen, right? Because after a little bit, right, you're going to grow. After a little bit, your muscles get used to it, and they're fine. Your body doesn't do extra things. Your body only does what's need to be done. So if you put some layers of myelin, let's say you can do from 0 to 100, okay? So you can put layers of myelin, but you can do your job with, 20 layers. It's all fine. You never make mistakes. Everyone likes what you're doing. So you got 20 layers. So that's it, right? Your brain is not going to do anything else because you're fine. You're okay. Things just work, right? So your brain's going to be fine with that. And then you never get better because that's the 1 pound you're doing every day. So you have to force your brain. And when you have to force your brain, the only way to force your brain is to make mistakes. You have to force yourself in a way that you fail. Because when you fail, that's when your brain says, oops, that's not enough. I need to be better. I need to put more myelin, otherwise I'm going to fail again. So when you talk about reading code, it's not reading code that you know, it's reading code you don't know. Reading code that other people wrote, reading code of the open source library you're using. It's reading code that's hard for you to understand. It's reading code in other languages. Make sense? You gotta practice stronger every single day. Second ability, second skill is write code. Same thing, we gotta write code every day, code we don't understand. That's why people say you have to learn a new language every year. It's not because you want to go deep and become the specialist in a new language. It's because you need to practice writing code you don't understand. Because if you practice writing code you don't understand, you activate the neurons. You force your neurons to see, I don't understand that. I need to be better. And by writing code in different languages, you become better at the language that you prefer. So writing code, that's why I think it's great that Java has a release cycle of 6 months. Because in the past, it was like 6 years, and then you had like 100 new features that you could not use because you don't know how to use. And it's going to take a long time for you to learn all of that. But with 6 months, it means that we have a cadence of new things to learn, new things to experiment, new code that we don't understand to write and to read. right? So we got to do this every single day. Then delivery codes is the third ability. We are not paid to write code and put in the repository. That's not our job. We're paid to make someone else's life better. So if there's no one using our software, we're not doing our job. So we have to practice. How can I get my code in the hands of other people? Right? Every day, how can I improve my process of getting code in the hands of people? If we don't do that, we don't know what to do. We're not doing our job. Right? Worst of all, we have to solve problems. That's what we're paid for, right? We are paid to solve problems. We got to be good at solving problems. And solving problems is a skill. Right? It's not I know Java. Oh, by the way, one small parenthesis here. If you think, because I think that's kind of one of the questions, if you think you are, I'm a Java developer, right? It's the same thing that if you are, if you try to hire a carpenter to fix your house, and the guy comes along and say, I can fix your house, no problem, because I'm a specialist in hammers. Would you hire specialists in hammers? No, right? That's the same thing. Java is a tool. Programming language is a tool. You are problem solvers. You solve a problem, not any problem. You solve specific, interesting problems. So if a guy comes to you and say, I'm a specialist in fixing a roof, you say, okay, but really, I have a problem with my cabinet, so I'm not going to hire you. Right? But if you have a problem with your cabinet, the guy says, I'm a special, I've solved problems in cabinets, that's the person you hire, no matter what tools he uses, because he knows how to do his job. And the same thing for us. We're problem solvers, right? What kind of problem do you solve? Do you want to be better developer? Do you want to be more value developer in the market? Do you want to grow? What is the problem that you solve? If all the problem that you solve is that I write codes in Java, that is not a good problem to solve. But now, if you solve more sophisticated problems, that's more interesting, right? So solving problems. So you have to practice this. It's a skill. You only become better if you do it, if you practice it. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to go and you have to look around you. Just look around. Do you see any problems here right now, in these events, in your city, when you go home, in your house, in your family? Do you see any problems? How would you solve that? That's a skill. You see a problem. You identify the problem. You propose a solution. And that's it? It's finished? No. Then you shoot down your solution. You show where your solution doesn't work. You show why your solution is not good. And you propose another one, and you shoot that one too, and you propose another one, because that is problem solving. There's never one solution. There's always multiple solutions, and you have to be good at identifying the multiple solutions and being able to weigh the pros and cons. That's his question, right? How do I know the pros and cons? If you are not able to say, okay, I'm going to apply this here, I know this is not a perfect solution because there's another one that solves in a different way, but that one is the better for me right now. That's a skill. And you don't need to sit down on your computer to practice this. Because remember, a skill is the neurons being activated. So it doesn't matter if you solve problems writing code or if solving problems thinking about the problem, you're activating the neurons to solve the problem. So you can do this every day. You go home, you walk around the street, and you look around, and you just, you keep practicing solving problems. Make sense? Right? So, solving problems is amazing. Now, solving problems is a skill that will get you, right, especially people that are watching us online, right, it's going to get you more valuable in the market. The bigger, you want to be more valuable, you want to earn more money, you want to work on good projects, the bigger the problem you solve, the more interesting you are for the market. Right? Now, the next skill is the most overlooked one. is the skill that's going to get you and your career growing all the time. And most people overlook that one, and that is share what you know. Software development is a people thing. You know, especially for the older ones here, if you're like me, you got into software development because someone said, oh yes, you're not very good with people, you can be good with computers, right? That's a total lie, right? Software development is made for people, by people, with people. It's people all the way down. So sharing what you know is going to get you into into that market. But more than that, right? Software development. More than that, you know, there's a guy that says, you think that you think when you think. But the truth is, you only think when you speak. You only think when you write. Your brains are very confused. So when you try to explain something to someone, that's when you actually think. Because that's when you separate yourself from this confusion that's our brains. So the best way for you to think is sharing with other people. So you have to learn how to do that. Right? But now, why is this skill the most overlooked one, the one that actually gets your career moving all the time? Because when you share what you know, other people around you know what you know. And if people around you know what you know, they're interested in you. They're interested in you that you go work for them. They're interested that they join a project. They're interested in you because they know what you know. If only you know what you know, everyone around you can't help you to become better, to get cool projects, to participate in cool things because they don't know what you're interested in. So you got to go share what you know. Okay. So those are the 5 basic skills. But how we get better at them? Where you got this, right? It's all about more myelin. So how do you get more myelin on those skills? First of all, you do them every day. You do them every day, right? You know, there's a famous musician. He already died. He's like 80. He played all the way into his 80-something. And he used to say that if I skip 1 day of practice, I notice. If I skip 2 days of practice, my wife notice. If I skip 3 days of practice, the world notice. So it's the same with us. We gotta practice every single day, right? So every single day we gotta read code, write code, deliver code. Every single day we have to share what you know. We have to solve problems. Every single day. And by the way, it's much better for you to do 10, 15, 5 minutes a day than it is to do 10 hours a week on the weekends. The daily thing, remember, it's myelin, right? You got to do this every day. It takes time for the myelin to be applied. So you have to do this every day. It's the same thing as a gym. You know, you go to the gym for the weekend. You know, lots of us are weekend sportists, right? On the weekend, we go there, we play soccer, basketball, whatever. And then you get Monday, you're like, oh, I can't move, right? And then by Wednesday, you're starting to be able to move again. By Saturday, well, we all fine again, and then you do all over, right? So it's like, doesn't work. But if you do 4 minutes of exercise a day, it changes your life. Same thing here. If you do a few minutes of this every day, focus, trying to improve, doing harder than you did before, making mistakes, forcing yourself to make mistakes, do faster. Make mistakes. Force yourself to make mistakes. Get to a point where you don't know what to do. Then you're forcing your brain. That's how you get more myelin. That's how you do things better. Every single day, right? But then can we do it faster? That's the question always, right? Can we do it faster? We already know the answer. It can't be faster, right? Because myelin doesn't go faster. There's no way. You know, you can't grow muscles faster. But you can be a lot smarter on this, right? First things first, it's not about speed, it's about consistency. You improve 1% every single day. By the end of the year, you don't get 300% better. You get 3,700% better. The air conditioner has gone out, so I should speak a lot. All right. Otherwise, it's going to explode here, right? So it's not about speed, it's about consistency. Every single day, you got to be better. If you stop getting better, you're going to get worse. Right? You know, everyone that did sports on high school, for example, knows exactly this, right? You're lots of sports in high school, and then you start working and forget about sports, and then you get like a blob in the sofa, right? So, it's the same thing. It's always, myelin is a, oops, what did I do? I think I stepped here. Unsupported signal, that's kind of crazy. Right? Better? No? The laptop's still on, yes. All right, well, I don't need a lot of slides anymore, but you're gonna have to trust me that I remember your question because they're writing down here, but okay. All right. I think it's, okay, good, got now. All right, so it's not about speed, it's about consistency, right? So another thing, you all know the just-in-time compiler, right? So that's what you need to apply to learn faster. It's called the just-in-time learning. Just-in-time learning is a very simple technique. Is that you don't learn. That's it, you go do things. Otavio, yesterday we were in Jacksonville, so we went to this mall and Otavio got me a new video game. And man, I'm dying, right? I'm gonna get to the hotel tonight, right? Because yesterday was such a crazy, I'm gonna get to the hotel tonight. To do what? To read the manual, right? Is that right? Of course not, right? I'm gonna go and play the game, right? So that's the point. You don't go read the manual first. You go play the game, right? So you wanna learn anything, go do things. Get a small project, experiment, do it. Try to do even if you don't know. That's just-in-time learning. So then you can't move forward. Take a quick look on Google or Slack or Stack Overflow, whatever. Ask a friend. Just get enough to do the next step and go back to doing it. Right? So you just learn what you need to do something. So you define a little project and go do. Go participate in open source. Go do a little project for you. Go do a tool for your company. I don't know. Go do something for your parents, for your kids, for your church, for your club. Go do some project that you use that thing. And then instead of you getting your neurons that reads to activate, you're actually going to get your neurons that do to activate, and then you generate skills, right? And then one important thing is the whole thing about soft and hard skills. Who here has heard about soft and hard skills? All right, can anyone tell me what a hard skill is? Coding. Coding is a hard skill. Why? Oh, people are soft, right? That's, okay, I'm not even gonna ask about the soft. So people are soft and coding is hard, right? So let me tell you one secret, that's not true, all right? So soft skills, it's important that you guys understand because there's a big difference. And I think this is one of the biggest problems that developers have today. So I'm gonna extend a little bit on this. A big problem that developers have today. We think that what we do, coding, is a hard skill. So we apply hard skill techniques to learn what we do. But hard skills are not hard because they're difficult. They are hard because they are specific, right? They are exact. They are precise. That's why they are hard. Soft skills are not soft because they're people. They are soft because they are malleable. They vary. What's the difference? A hard skill is something that every time you do is exact. So throwing the ball on the hoop from a standing position, the free throws, is a hard skill because the better you are able to do, the more points you make. Now, playing basketball, it's always different, right? So playing basketball is a soft skill because a soft skill is malleable. Every time you apply is a different thing. So for example, soft skills are all about pattern matching. You see a situation, you apply different strategies. So what do you do every day? You see a different situation, you have to apply different strategies every day. How's that called? That you guys do? problem solving. It's actually called software development, right? Isn't it what we do all the time? So software development is a soft skill. It's not a hard skill. Why is it important? Because if you apply different techniques, if you apply hard skill techniques to learn a soft skill, you don't learn. So when you think that what we do is a hard skill, and we apply hard skill techniques, that repetition, 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 we don't learn. We have to apply soft skill techniques. What's a soft skill technician? You have to apply different strategies, put yourself in different situations. That's how you get better. Okay? So, just to finish this here, results. The most important thing that you want to get is be clear on your results. There's a little story that I love, Alice in Wonderland. Alice is lost. She's in the middle of Wonderland, and she talks to the cats. And so she says, would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? To which the cat replies, that depends a good deal where you want to get to. If you don't know where you want to get to, you can't get there. So Alice goes on and she says, I don't much care where. So the cat says, one of the smartest things that I've ever heard, there is, then it doesn't matter which way you go. If you're not clear to yourself, what are the results you want to go? I want to get a better job. I want to get a salary raise. I want to travel the world. I want to, if you don't have clarity on what is the results you want, then you can't get there, because it doesn't matter what you do, because you're not going to get there. But then the story continues, because then Alice says, well, she explains it, so long I get somewhere, and then the cat says one thing that every developer believes that's completely wrong. The cat says a stupid thing. He says, oh, you're sure to do that, said the cat, if you only walk long enough. A lot of developers think this, well, if I keep doing this for long enough, I'm going to get there. If I keep trying long enough, I'm going to get there. And it's not about keep doing the same things over and over until you get somewhere, like this phrase implies. It's about changing what you do and forcing yourself to do differently. Force yourself to make mistakes, because only when you make mistakes, you build myelin in your brain, and only when you build myelin in your brain, that's when you get better. So with that, really quick, the question that you got here. Maybe I'm not going to go. I'm going to record the videos for all those questions if I don't get good here. But what's the best way to choose the next technology? Choose a project. Choose a project, and then you have a technology to use. It's never about the technology. The technology is a tool. Right? You only learn a tool to solve a problem. If you don't have a good project, it doesn't work. Right? How to get deep enough? Do things. Do and do again. And try experiment in different ways. Apply hard skills techniques to learn hard skills. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And apply soft skill techniques to learn soft skills. Do different things in different situations. Right? How to figure out the problems people have? Amazing question, because if you know problems people have, you can solve it. The best way to grow your career, the best way to become more valuable is solving people's problems. So you ask, what is the biggest problem you're having with this? What is the biggest problem what is the biggest frustration you're dealing with that? You did exactly what I did with you guys here. You ask, because people don't know what they want, but they know what they're struggling with. So if you ask them what they're struggling with, they're going to tell you. Actually, this is an amazing question to ask in an event. Oh, you're using NoSQL? What is the biggest problem you have with that? Amazing question, right? Because not only going to give you an idea what the problems are, but also going to give you ideas of how you can solve them. Less time maintaining, more time creating. That's a result you want, right? In our industry, there's a lot more time maintaining software. Right? So if you want to do more time creating things, you have to have a process that solves the maintaining problem immediately. Because that's the biggest thing we have in terms of DevOps, right? We have a process that gets what we want to maintain to be fixed way up in the future. That's terrible. Fixed immediately. The sooner you fix things, the more time you have to do the cool stuff. Right? So that's a whole lot new thing. I might record a video just for that. When it's time to abandon something, I actually just recorded 2 videos about abandoning something, so I'm just going to kind of make a very quick overview here. The thing is, do you want to try different things? You know, I don't know, you're doing Java. Do you want to try different things with Java? Do you want to apply to different projects? Do you still willing to change what you're doing? If you are, just keep doing it, because you're still growing, and science has not discovered a limit to our skills. You can always grow. Now, if you're tired of it, if you're not willing to experiment, if you're not willing to make mistakes, if you're not willing to, oh, it's my reputation, I can't make any mistakes. If you're not willing to make mistakes, then it's probably past. It's probably time for you to go find something else. Right? Because the only way for you to grow is doing different things, is making mistakes, is still trying to do things differently. If all you want to do is the same thing you're doing, that's probably a good time for you to think about something else. Full stack versus specialization. There is no such thing as a Java specialist. Specialization is not about the one thing that I do. Specialization is about the one problem that I solve. So a full stack developer, he solves what problem he solves? I don't even know. Right? If it doesn't solve any problem, because it's not about Java or full stack or server side or client side. It's about, I'm a Java developer, not very good. I'm a Java developer that solves finance problem, that's better. I'm a Java developer that solves finance problems on the credit card industry, that's even better. Right? I'm a Java developer that solves finance problem in the credit card industry using artificial intelligence. Whoa, I want you. Right? So no, it's about the biggest problem you can solve. A lot of people can solve small problems. If you find a huge problem that you can solve, everyone's going to be, the right people is going to be interested in you. And that's all you want, right? You want the right people to be interested in you so you can grow even more. And I want you to travel and do this internationally. Well, that's something you want to do. If you want to do this internationally, go share what you know. Right? Let people know that you're available to travel, to do projects, that you are able to work remotely, that you can do all. It's totally possible if people know what your skills are. They're gonna want to hire you. And the last thing I want to tell you, there is a tornado of growth in your career. A tornado of growth. That's the problem that we see a lot of times. People just starting, they don't need to do much because they immediately grow. But people that are being for a long time, they grew a lot, and they don't know what to do anymore because they achieved a plateau. So here is a tornado of growth. You got to be better in anything. Because you're better in something, you learn something, you apply something, you experiment something, you create a new skill. Because you're bad at something, you know a little bit more to share. Because you share something, you get to work on great projects. Right? So it doesn't matter which one of those 3 things you get into, because you can start by working on a great project, or can start by sharing, or can start by being better. It doesn't matter. But what happens is, once you work in a better project, working on a better project immediately makes you better, because now you're doing more things. And if you're doing more things, you can share more. If you can share more, you can work on more projects. And you create this spiral of growth. So I think all of you guys can do this, and it's an amazing moment, an amazing opportunity. Okay? Thanks very much. Thank you. And I've done questions, but if you guys have more questions, I'm willing to answer, no problem. Oh, by the way, one last thing. One tiny last thing. Are you still recording there? So, because you stay here all the way to the end, but you can send to the other people that left. I wrote a book called The 5-Step Plan, the best developer job ever. Let's have a 5-step plan for you to have career freedom. This book is available on Amazon. You can buy it if you want, but because you're here, because you stay all the way to the end, you can come to this page here, put your name, your email, and I'm going to send that book to you. There's 2 things that are going to happen if you do this. First of all, you can just get this URL right there, or take this QR code. And you get the book for free. There's 2 things that are going to happen. First of all, you're going to get the book for free, right on your email, right? The second thing that's going to happen is that you're going to receive an email from me, right? So if there's anything that I didn't answer here, you can just reply to that email and say, Bruno, I need some help on this or that, and then I'll be very happy to answer that to you. Okay? All right, so thanks everyone to watching online. Thanks everyone here. Thanks a lot for the Oklahoma Java User Group for helping the tour. Thanks.